Hi, and welcome to, or back to, my channel. I'm Kit, and I actually no longer exist because Classically Abby has obliterated me. Before we dive into it, I would like to thank my patrons and YouTube channel members, and the cats would like to thank you as well. Ellie is especially grateful because she has no idea how much cameras cost and thinks she'll soon be appearing in HD live streams. Anyway, my socials are linked below. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Let's get into the video. After, of course, baby Ellie is done playing. Classically Abby gave a speech at YAF, which stands for Young America's Foundation, and it's a conservative youth organization. Incidentally, her husband was employed there as an attorney. The conservative world is quite small. The video was titled Slam Dunk, Abby Roth Obliterates the Feminist Revolution, with the description, Abby Roth, Shapiro, gives a friendly reminder that women are not oppressed in America. And, well, I obviously had to listen to this friendly reminder, and it made me laugh, which was not what I expected. If you obliterate a feminist, but a feminist isn't around to hear you, has feminism been obliterated? I have a feeling she's preaching to the choir at these speaking engagements, but who knows? Maybe we'll walk away from this with our minds changed, convinced that our true power is indeed through men.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking success is limited to our jobs. We are sold that lie every single day.
Capitalism is sneaky like that. It's not enough that we have to work, but we have to convince ourselves that we like it too.
We are told that getting married and having a family is boring.
Wait, what? I've seen, read, and heard marriage and family life referred to as many things, good and bad, but no one has ever called it boring. I'm going to need a citation for this.
We are told that being religiously observant is constraining.
Isn't that kind of the point? Most religions have rules that you must observe, which does fit the definition of constraining, and no one cares. The only problem is when you decide someone else who doesn't believe in your religion must follow those rules too.
We are told that being involved in your community is a burden.
Okay, now I'm calling BS. Abby is just taking things she likes and enjoys and inventing reasons why people would be against them.
We see it every day in articles, online, in movies, in the shows we stream. Every message we get in this modern hustle culture outside of our religious communities and our own intuition tells us to throw real purpose out the window in favor of what amounts to a careerist grind.
I disagree that everything you read and see pushes hustle culture, yay, but I do agree that hustle culture has permeated our society and it's not good for us. I am a bit confused though because I thought conservatives loved capitalism.
True success is climbing the totem pole or being famous or making lots and lots of money or even just living in a perpetual treat yourself mindset for your personal fun and ease, to the detriment of everything else.
I really hate that when I'm wandering around online and in real life, everywhere you look there's shopping for someone else. You deserve a treat too. Is it Monday? You deserve a treat, and so on, different variations of the same message. I'm an adult. If I want to treat myself, I will, but I don't need it constantly shoved in my face. It's disgusting, and I think it helps perpetuate that wasteful cycle of clothing hauls and makeup hauls and decor hauls and whatever else social media influencers do to influence people to spend money. This is not me saying people can only buy necessities, but buying things for the sake of buying them, it's wasteful. I understand why companies do it. They want to turn a bigger profit every year, and that's also why our things don't last as long as they used to, but I hate it. Look at me, agreeing with Abby.
Where does this lie come from? Unironically, Marxism.
Marxism says community is a burden and encourages mindless consumption. I would like her source.
Every rotten part of our culture has its origin in the Marxist ideology that the world is divided into the oppressors or the oppressed.
I'm very much looking forward to the explanation for this.
For sex, the story began in the 1960s with the women's liberation movement. Here, the oppressors and the oppressed were divided by gender. Women are born victims. Men are born oppressors. Men have the power of the patriarchy and the male privilege to sleep around and have high-powered careers without worrying about having children or a marriage.
Okay, does Abby understand why that was a problem, or does she just think women were mad because they wanted to sleep around too?
When it comes to sex, the left treats a high-powered career at the expense of a family as a thing men get to do that women are oppressed by by not getting to do?
I would think Abby would know this already, given her opera career didn't take off, but most people don't get to do the thing that will give them the power or the money or the fame. And most people are okay with that. The issue wasn't that women didn't get to have a high-power career. It was that they weren't allowed the option. It was get married or struggle. It was assumed a man was providing for a woman, so she didn't need a wage she could live off of if she even needed the job at all. And on that note, it's possible to have the high-power job and a family at the same time. Abby knows this. Her own mother did it.
That was the big innovation of the women's liberation movement. All of a sudden, the fact that men worked outside the home to support their families became what success looked like.
Wait, she thinks women wanted to be able to work outside the home to be considered successful? Has Abby ever actually read anything about feminism?
And that success was something hoarded by men at the expense of women. Instead of viewing men's hard work as their role in helping provide for their wives and children, men's work became the end-all be-all of fulfillment and meaning.
I can't help but notice that these conservative men will fight tooth and nail to keep work outside the home to themselves. And whenever someone wants to deny someone else opportunities and tells them it's for their own good, I get suspicious. What's that quote? Something about don't shit in a cone and call it ice cream. If this were truly about what's good for humanity, they would be doing a lot of things actually, rather than just trying to convince women they need to stay home. But they would at least be counseling people how to ensure the woman is protected in the event of death or divorce. Because the simple fact is, the person in a relationship who is not employed is at risk. We live in a capitalist society and money is power. Money is opportunity. Money is safety. Money means entirely far too much, but that is the world we're in right now, and it's a big ask to ask someone, let alone tell them, to rely on someone else financially. And they act like it's nothing.
The only way for women to find the same happiness and purpose these men supposedly had was for them to do what men do, working outside the home in a life-consuming career.
Did Abby just suggest the breadwinning men actually aren't happy? But anyway, no, it wasn't women do what men do. It was women have the option to do what men do. And now it's everyone should be able to find what fulfills them. And it's neither healthy nor desirable to have your career consume your life, regardless of your gender. I trust that Abby is in favor of shorter work weeks.
The media ran with this, helping to erase the worth of stay-at-home mothers by promoting feminists like Betty Friedan and her book, The Feminine Mystique, which called suburban home life a comfortable concentration camp.
I obviously don't agree with Friedan's analogy, and she herself later said she was ashamed of it, but I can't help but notice that these folks, conservatives, anti-feminists, like to bring it up even though the book was published 60 years ago and Friedan has been dead for 17 years. And I wonder, is it because they're trying to push marriage and motherhood as the peak of fulfillment for women, and Friedan's book was born because it was at a Smith reunion where Friedan found inspiration for what would become The Feminine Mystique. Intending to survey her classmates who had worried that a college education would get in the way of raising a family, what she instead found was a lack of fulfillment among the housewives. Is that what this is about? Try to paint Friedan as some radical fringe feminist so no one ever goes near the book and realizes that marriage and motherhood are not guaranteed to be what fulfills a woman?
The fact that men and women naturally have different roles, and the fact that women find their joy and meaning in motherhood was unimportant in the face of the revolution that the women's liberation movement was fighting for.
Women find their joy and meaning in motherhood. There Abby goes with their absolutes again. Women fought for the ability to be things in addition to wives and mothers, or instead of. How has she lived so long without realizing that not every woman wants to be married, wants to be a mother? And has Abby not realized that she's married and a mother and has a career? Is Abby trying to be the 21st century's Phyllis Schlafly? And why do I have an uneasy feeling that if someone told her they didn't feel like marriage and kids were for them, Abby would just encourage them to marry and have kids anyway?
The most important point to understand about this feminist revolution,
I caught that slip, and feminism is still not a religion,
is that it wasn't saying that women could work. It was saying that women should work. It was saying that the family is a prison that chains women to misery, and that truly free-thinking women would naturally put career ahead of marriage and motherhood.
People were questioning the status quo, Abby. They were floating ideas, testing the waters, experimenting, and obviously people still get married. Some women even still stay home today. We've just been given some more flexibility in our choices. Why is that such a problem? It deserves a speech.
The funny thing about this masculine ideal of success that the women's liberation movement sold to women is that it never even existed for men. It was never the case that men somehow uniquely benefited from the soulless, careerist pursuit of money and status without room for God, love, family, and community.
Did I mishear, or did Abby just say work is a soulless, careerist pursuit of money and status? Is Abby anti-work? Is she not afraid she's going to turn her young listeners into socialists?
Some men do live that way, but no men benefit from it. The women's liberation movement took the caricature of men who live only to work and sleep around, which was a negative stereotype, and started portraying that as the actual epitome of the good life.
Citation needed. Also, is it just me, or does it feel like Abby's idea of feminism has gotten stuck in the 1960s and 70s, and anything before or after doesn't exist to her?
Instead of realizing that when men did work outside of the home, it was for the family, the left acted as if a successful career was in and of itself the point.
Wait, I thought the left was full of Marxists and socialists and Gen Zers who don't want to work and so on, but now they're all about careers and living to work? This is really inconsistent, which is pretty much the only thing conservatives are consistent about.
The redefinition of success for women ended up hurting men too. For both men and women, the idea of self-involved ambition and responsibility-free fun became the standard assumption of the good life. Marriage and children became the dreaded end of the good times and something that people could and should keep putting off until they were older or less selfish or done having fun. Which is, of course, an utterly unappealing way to think of having a family at all.
Yes, if you think of having kids as the end of the good times, that won't sound very appealing. However, I think people should only have kids if they actively want them. So yes, if you dread the idea of having kids, please don't.
So we've established two things. One, the careerist idea of success and the so-called freedom of singleness at the expense of family is a modern invention of the left as part of its attempt to destroy traditional values.
How and when did we establish that? I thought the left hated work and wanted communism, but now they're careerists? What? Also, who in current American society does Abby consider to be the left? I want names.
And two, just like everything else concocted by the left, it gets human nature completely wrong and will make you miserable if you believe in it.
What if I don't base my life or my life choices on political theories?
Armed with that information, the next step is to prepare yourselves to deal with the pressure you'll be under to conform to this idea of success as you enter college and the real world.
Is Abby giving this speech to 18-year-olds?
Not just conform in terms of trying to fit in, but also in terms of judging and comparing yourself to others' careers and ambitions, and beating yourself up if you make the boring, unexciting, or unimpressive decision to live a loving, more quiet life of family and faith. Internalizing the careerist me excitement of the modern idea of success is a big danger for anyone.
Does Abby think a lot of not conservatives, because no, being to the left of a conservative does not make you a leftist, spend their days working hard and their nights partying and hooking up? Most people, regardless of their politics, live quiet lives, and I think most people actually prefer it that way, at least as we get older. Excitement is fun when you're young, but as the years go by, it's just unnecessary trouble. Is anyone else left feeling a bit confused? She talked a lot, but it doesn't seem like she really said anything. And I'm really over this leftist boogeyman that is whatever conservatives need it to be. On Monday, they're communists who want to tax the rich because they're too lazy to work. And on Tuesday, they're careerists who measure success by how much status your job has. I was going to ask if it would really kill them to be consistent, but yes it would. Because then they would have to consider every leftist proposition, formulate a response to it, and then actually engage with it, rather than just saying the left is whatever they need it to be in that moment. Also, how was feminism obliterated in this video? So I just want to make some things clear after listening to that garbage. You are free to choose how to live your life. If you marry or don't marry, have kids or don't have kids, have a part-time job so you can pursue a hobby, have a regular job so you can live, or end up in a career you feel passionate about, and everything in between, that's fine. And anyone who hears your plans or hopes for the future and tells you that they're a mistake and you'll be miserable, take them with a grain of salt. And finally, women are not your broodmare, men are not your workhorse. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.